firearms for a specific purpose. They are not the ones running around the streets of our community with illegal handguns smuggled in from the U.S., bought on the streets for $500 and killing people.
But if the registering of rifles and shotguns led to the saving of one life in a given year, wouldn't it be worth it?
But
if that happened?
But the problem is there's nothing to verify that it has saved one life. You can have anecdotal evidence that it may have saved.
But to just play it, just to be on the safe side, you see, I still come back to that same question I think a lot of people can understand. Aside from the fact the registry may be sloppily put together, may have cost way too much money, isn't accurately reflecting the make of the gun, some people have been registered and they didn't have any guns at all. Aside from all of that, what's the problem in filling out a form?
Because much like registering a car...
Is it a principle thing?
Well, it's part principle, but it's also part logic. I mean, cars are registered.
Well, you do register a car.
Cars, yes. And has that stopped people from getting behind the wheel, driving drunk, and killing somebody? No. The problem here is the registry does not.
So we shouldn't register cars either?
I'm just saying, you know, the car example is raised repeatedly as, look, we have to register cars, why not firearms?
What about on that point?
Regulation is about risk reduction. Of course you can kill someone with a registered gun. Of course you can drive a registered car into the wall. But if we had no licensing, if we had no registration
Again, you're confusing licensing and registration. Let's be clear.
Well, I'd like to finish what I'm saying.
You brought up the car example.
Registration,
that's why
not licensing.
Well, I said registration and she said registration.
If we took all the license plates off all the cars, I think we would be less safe. The other thing I want to bring up, and Priscilla de Villiers was in the media this week, there's not one but 6
Remind everyone who she is.
Priscilla's daughter Nina was killed in 1991 by a man with a legal gun. The inquest into her daughter's death recommended licensing and registration. The inquest into the murder of sportscaster Brian Smith recommended licensing and registration. The OC Transpo inquiry recommended licensing and registration. The inquest into the murder of Arlene May recommended licensing and registration. I could go on and on and on.
So well, we only have an hour show, so we don't have time for that.
There are a number of coroner's inquests.
Well, is the bottom line here, better safe than sorry? Why not register the guns? Because they might do some good. It might do some good at some circumstance that the
bottom line here actually is that this has been aimed at the wrong target, and forgive me the euphemism, from the very beginning. There are over 400,000 people in this country who have committed crimes, been prosecuted and convicted, including 254,000 of them who are considered prohibited offenders in this country, who are not supposed to have firearms at all, possess them, use them, anything. They're not tracked. Nobody knows where these guys are.
So that's an argument for not registering all the guns?
No, the point is, instead of wasting time chasing down legal, law-abiding long gun owners in this country, why do we not have a prohibited offenders registry that's tracking the people who have actually used firearms to commit crimes?
But who's chasing down people to register guns?
Well, Wendy has just said that Bill Blair has got a campaign going in Toronto that he's tracking down through registry records to see if people are duly licensed and duly storing their firearms, etc., etc.
To which you would say, Wendy?
I think that's a great plan. I mean, we went door to door to find out if people had unlicensed cats and dogs. I'm a lot more concerned about someone without a license or without registering their gun.
Let me get back to the phones. I got a million calls here. I'm trying to get through as many as I can before we have to say goodbye for the evening. Here's Robert calling from Cochrane in Alberta. Robert, what do you think? Does Canada need a long gun registry?
Canada does not need a long gun registry. It ought to maintain its handgun registry as it has had since 1934.
Yeah.
But being a life member of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, I would like to make a couple of comments. First of all, I happen to know from anecdotal evidence that there are millions of unreported firearms among the rural communities, and they have no intentions of ever letting government know that they are there, because they use them as they would use a farming tool. Secondly, I want to say
Well, can I stop you there for a minute?
Sure.
Why? I mean, the government knows you have a car. That's a tool. A government knows you have other things. Why can't the government know you have a gun?
the government does not know I have a car unless I want to drive it on the public road. And if I do, then if I do use my firearm for hunting, then I will get a firearms or a hunting license, and that's in each province, and it's valid.
Okay,
and
that's the line for you. All right, I hear you. All right.
Yeah, okay. Just to get back to the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, I remember during the run-up on Bill C-68 that the chiefs said yes, they supported Bill C-68. They were opposed by most of the chiefs from what I would term more rural Canada. But the chiefs from the more metropolitan areas like Toronto and Montreal and more urban Ontario managed to pass this as a proposal to go forth to government. So I guess that it really boils down to the fact that in urban Canada, and I think that was mentioned politically this week, in urban Canada there is more of a trend to license than there is in rural Canada, and I think probably rural folks are very concerned about the differences in. There are some exemptions, for example, for rural people in some areas to have to license at all, and I'm thinking primarily of the Aboriginal communities in the north. So
you're talking licensing there, not registering.
Both, actually.
All right. Okay.
The thing that kind of concerns me, I suppose, is that, and as I said when I opposed it at the outset of Bill C-68, the thing that really concerns me is the fact that the database could be compromised, and people who have tendencies toward illegal activities can find a way into the system and go gun shopping.
Break into your house, steal your guns.
Exactly right. And that was my danger at that time, and I think it remains a danger today, and I see that the database has in fact been compromised. Now, I'm not privy to all the ins and outs of the database compromising now, but I'm certainly concerned. And the other thing that I think we should all remember is that when we get statistics about how many times the database has been entered by the police each day, that's really just a smoke and mirrors, because when it's automatic, when you go to CPIC, it automatically kicks over to do they have guns. Any police person on the street would be quite stupid, in my view, if they relied on there are guns at this address or there are not guns at this address.
Particularly if it said there are no guns at this address, right?
Well, precisely.
I guess.
I mean, you'd have to be quite stupid to enter that in your mindset.
Robert, thank you very much for your points you made. Okay, let me take a couple of more quick calls, then we'll come back. Here is Pam calling from Brampton in Ontario. Pam, what do you think? Do we need a long gun registry?
No, because it's not a good idea and it's dangerous, and you don't want to leave a car. You don't want to leave a gun lying in the car, and you don't want to think someone's going to kill you with it, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous and it's not safe.
Okay, Pam, thank you very much for that. Let me move to Dennis. He's calling from Alexandria, which is in Ontario as well. Dennis, what do you think? Do we need a national gun registry for long guns?
Absolutely not, Dale. There's no reason for it whatsoever. I hold an FAC.
Yeah.
I must have in order to go out and purchase a gun.
That's right.
Or to purchase ammunition. The government has said I have to do this, and I have done it. And I buy my ammunition or my guns legally with my FAC. The registration cannot prove not one life ever being saved. And your guest that says don't tear or burn the house